Your office is like a battlefield. A customer might not be happy, so what are you doing? You're picking up the phone. You're protecting the brand. I'll be there. I'll drive my own truck to the site to make sure it gets delivered on time. Time is the most valuable commodity traded amongst humans. You can give time, but you can never get it back. Momentum breeds good employees, systems and processes that allow you to separate yourself from the business, to put and install another figurehead there so that they're the center of the universe. And then you can live on vacation. That's not fiction. That is your future. And the first step towards getting to that destination is being... Hey guys, we're at Bradley's headquarters. This is the Real Business Growth Summit. We've got 100 entrepreneurs from across the country, all looking to grow and scale their business, hearing from speakers from YouTube, Google, TikTok, Meta, LinkedIn, Go High Level, the list goes on. If you're looking to grow and scale your business, listen, you missed out. We've got over 250 pages in a blueprint here to help you understand the incremental steps, both strategic and tactical, that you're gonna need to take when you get home to grow and scale your business with intention. You missed out today, but we'll see you at the next one. Tap the link below. Reserve your seat now. We'll see ya. Quick question. How many of you guys buy multiple domains every time you have an idea at 10 o'clock at night in your bed, right? Yeah. How long is that list? Really long. Insanely long. How long is that list? Okay. How long have you been in business? Okay, but how long is that list then? And those get renewed, auto-renewed. So GoDaddy's taking your money and they're getting so rich that they can do Super Bowl commercials because, what was your name? Because Jonathan has a list of 150 domains. Ideas are cheap. And I would argue they're worthless, right? How many of us have thought about something, never acted on it, somebody else did it and became rich? Who here is married? Okay, almost everybody. Who here has been married once before? There we go. Okay, all right. Anybody ever let that guy slip away or that girl get away from them and then they regret it and you kind of look her up at night on Facebook and you're like, I wonder what he's up to. I wonder what she's up to, right? Anyone ever done that? Anyone's willing to like admit? Yeah, I've done that. You know, I always talk about the old girls, right? God, I wonder what she's up to. Oh, she's fat and poor. Great, I made a great decision. In life, we tend to make decisions based off of proximity. And as business owners, we do the same thing, right? So we come into work and it's a mess, right? Everyone's desks are a mess. The phones are buzzing. There's distractions. You've got your cell phone, people calling you, salespeople don't come to work, and your mind's going crazy. You don't know what to focus on. So what do you focus on first? Things that are closest to you, right? The fires, right? The people who didn't show up, the vendors and suppliers and partners who are calling, and you don't feel confident in your team to handle those calls. So what are you doing? You're picking up the phone. You're protecting the brand. You're suppressing the competitors by saying, no, we'll get on it. Clay, I know you do this, right? No, we'll get it delivered. I'll get you a delivery time. I'll be there. I'll drive my own truck to the site to make sure it gets delivered on time. And so we get distracted by what's in our proximity. We do that at home too, right? We do that at home too. In fact, it's called deferred maintenance. Who here's a homeowner? Who's got a honey-do list? Who ignores the honey-do list? And then the pipes burst, right? And then the fence falls down. And then a kid trips on something and gets hurt in the yard. Well, the same stuff happens at home as happens at work. Why? Because we tend to deal with stuff that's easiest to get to. Remember the SATs we took in high school? What did they say? Well, you're not penalized for getting a wrong answer, right? But if you get a right answer, then it counts to your score. We do the same thing. We're taught at this early age, just focus on what you can do right now. And the sad part is, and this is the tactical advice, so you should be writing this down, right? Distractions, you need to avoid them. So you're like, well, how do I avoid the distractions at work? You have to hire people. And the way that I look at this, and I learned this from Mark Zuckerberg, He says, right, not me. I'm recycling what somebody else says and I'm giving them credit. It's called a backlink. Now you guys know. He says, when I'm looking to hire someone at Meta, I think about this alternate universe where I would be interviewing for them, with them, to get a job at their company. Would I work for them? And so the answer is, you need to surround yourself with people who you would actually want to take orders from. How many of us want to feel right? I want to feel right. How many of us want to feel right in front of our spouses? Don't raise your hand. You don't have a spouse yet. You want to feel right in front of your dad, right? Does your dad want to feel right in front of your mom? Yeah. Do they ever have arguments about who's right? Yeah. Jay-Z said, right? I never argue with fools because people from a distance can't tell who's who. Does that make sense? Kind of? Let's say you're over here, right? And you hear your dad, and I'm sorry to do this to you, Dad, but you hear your dad screaming at your mom, which is like the worst thing by far that you could do in front of your kids. Because then they do what when they grow up? Same thing, right? So you see you're over here, and your mom's there and your dad's there, and they're both screaming at each other. Who's right? Go. Neither. Yes. Wow, dude, let's go. Emotional IQ off the scale. Yeah, neither one's right. And guess what? You do this in your professional lives too, right? Your door is open to your office door is open because you want to be a good leader, right? And then you're on a phone call with a supplier, with a vendor, with a partner, with an employee who called out sick, but you need him or her there. And what are you doing? You're screaming. And guess what? Everyone, right, in the audience, everyone that works for you can hear you. So how can you surround yourself with great people and avoid the distractions if that's the way you're going to act? So what do? Well, you can't bottle it up, because then what happens? You have a heart attack and you die. So I would argue, to avoid situations like that, it needs to be planned months in advance. What do I mean by that? Well, it's like, your office is like a battlefield. And there's like unexploded, I don't know what they call it, landmines? Ordnance. Yeah, there's ordinances all around your office. And in fact, they just keep adding them, right, every day. Because the more business you do, the higher the likelihood that what? A customer might not be happy, right? Something may happen. You've got these ordinances all around. Well, you need to have a plan to avoid those ordinances, or have a plan of action when one of those ordinances does what? Explodes. And the same thing at your house with your wife or with your husband. You have to have a plan. And the plan isn't on the sales floor or in the kitchen in front of the kids to be screaming. Because what does that do? Well, I think it sabotages your success. It sabotages your success as a parent. It sabotages your marriage. And then what does it do in your professional life when you do the same thing? Sabotages it. Here's something to understand. I want you guys to write this down. Do A players want to work with C players? Everybody understands that concept? Anybody here like baseball? Not too many. Anybody here like football? Anybody not? Apparently nobody cares about sports. That's fine. But just imagine you are the owner of a sports team, okay? You've got this crazy big budget, let's say $150 million budget, and you have to buy talent, okay? Now, you have a bunch of C players on your team, but because you were last, insofar as your record goes last year, you get what this year? You get a first-round draft pick. So you're like, wow, I don't really follow football, but I want Tom Brady, okay? I want Tom Brady. He went like the 15th round or something like that, but you want an A player. So you bring in that A player and what? You give him or her anything they want. Because the only commodity that we understand as business owners is what? Money. That's like the easiest thing to do. Honey's unhappy at home? You know what? I'm going to take you. Let's buy you a purse. Let's buy you a new SUV. So we buy their happiness. Does it last? No, certainly not. When you do the same thing with an employee, what happens? So you draft them. They're like super happy and they put the hat on. They're like, can't wait to come work for you, boss. Now what happens? They walk in day one, they're on the field, and they're looking at everyone running plays. And they're like, what have I got myself into? So then what happens to that player? Where's my stage timer? What happens to that player? They don't want to be on that team. So they go to their agent and they're like, hey, put me on a different team. I don't care if I lose money. Put me on a different team. Dallas, don't make me beg. Thank you. So, they asked to be put on a different team. Now, who here, right, feels like at one point in time, hurt, betrayed, attacked, maligned by a great employee leaving your company? Just by a show of hands. Who's ever felt that? Does it feel the same as when a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, or a wife does the same thing? Isn't that weird? But it's non-sexual, right? But the fact remains is that you see them as what? You see them as family. They don't see you as that. Why? Because the only commodity that you trade in is what? Is money. But what do they trade in? Time. Time is the most valuable commodity traded amongst humans. You guys should write this one down. This is an original. This is a Will Stern original. I didn't get it off Lifetimer. Time is the most valuable commodity traded amongst individuals. There's love, there's respect, all the possible emotions on the spectrum. But time, right? Time is the most valuable commodity that you can exchange with another human. And the interesting thing about time and how it compares or differs, I should say, from money is that you can give time to someone, but you can never get it back. It's the weirdest commodity of all time, because usually you think of a commodity as something you can trade and somebody can give you more of, right? But time's weird. You give it and you never get it back. Why? Because we get old and we die, which sucks. Nobody thus far, even Elon Musk, a trader amongst traders, by the way, he hasn't figured out a way for us to live in perpetuity. So once you guys get back to the office, we started this discussion, we were talking about, I've only done this for 49 seconds, Dallas. That's what the stage timer says. Once you get back home, you'll realize that it's distractions I need to avoid. It's A, players I need to hire. It's C, players that need to be on my radar. And no matter how destabilizing it may feel, I probably need to pull the ripcord and say goodbye to them. Even if that does what? Even if it brings me more stress, right? In the short term. Short-term stress is okay. Long-term stress, I would argue, needs to be avoided, right? It's like carrying a rucksack, right? You can see those guys, super buff dudes, and they're like, running like 15 miles. They got a 50-pound backpack. Bad things are going to happen to their back and their knees when they get older. It's not good. They may look strong, but bodies can only take so much. And you guys can only take so much too. So having, right, you being the center of the universe. I know it sounds weird, but you need to be the center of the universe. And then all the planets that rotate around you, right, need to see you as the center of the universe and need to function that way to the extent that you have gravitational pull, right? So, but what is your gravitational pull? There's only two things. Time. What's the other one? Money. Those are the two, right? So you give them time, right? And that's the photosynthesis of life, right? Which is, it's the sunlight, it's the water, it's the soil. But you can't do it on a transactional basis. It needs to be a real relationship, right? Real. It needs to be a real relationship. Don't fall asleep on me. Grab some coffee. I worked so hard on this. No, I'm just kidding. But the truth is that nobody will recognize that you're the center. You remember the Catholic Church, like hundreds of years ago? There was a scientist. It wasn't Copernicus. Galileo. What's with these 3 seats? You should be up here. It was Galileo. And you're like, who's Galileo? Well, he's an astronomer, a scientist, right? Extraordinaire, who believed that at the center of the universe wasn't the Earth. What was at the center of the universe? The sun, the suns. They're at the center of the universe. And I mean that, because everything that your dad is doing today is to make sure that you're the center of the universe, is to prepare you for your future, right? Other kids at home playing the new Nintendo. You guys are here. Thank you, Dad. My kids say, I love you. I got to show this text message. If I could airplay it, I would. My kids, they don't say I love you very much. And then I got a text message yesterday or the day before, and it was like 10 I love yous. And then it was like, hey, can I have Ariat boots? So that's very transactional. So I'm not doing a great job explaining this. But, so I saw through the BS is my point. He went to Ariat yesterday, by the way, because mom took him. But, so you get back to your office, right? And you realize that you need to make yourself the center of the universe. You need to have that gravitational pull, and that gravity, negative 9.8 meters per second squared. It's got to be negative. It's got to pull towards you, not pull towards them. You got to be the center of the universe, but you've got to make sure, right, that there's money and that there's time. And I promise you, if you can give people ample time and to a lesser extent money, they will stay. I don't want you guys feeling like you just lost your best employee. Just like you don't. It's a terrible feeling. It's a feeling of betrayal, right? And it's exactly equivalent, synonymous with what happens with us in our personal lives when the husband leaves, goes out for, milk and then doesn't come home for 18 years or something like that, right? Same thing when the girl walks out of our lives, you're like, this is the girl. This is the girl. Well, she wasn't the girl. Why? Because she saw you not as the center of her universe. You've got to make yourselves the center of the universe. You've got to have that gravitational pull. So again, mix of what? What's up here? Strategic. What's down here? Tactical. So when you get back to your office, right, and we're going to talk about this more over the weekend, I want to give you practical and tactical steps that you can take to ensure that the company thrives. Right? This is not like a rah-rah dopamine. I want you guys to feel the serotonin, right? But I want you to go home with something that's tactical. I want you to go home with a blueprint and a plan. And there is a plan, and it's called the blueprint. It's sitting right there. And it breaks down everything: how to organize, how to automate, and most importantly, I think, how to scale. But scale needs to mean this. And there's a big difference, huge dichotomy between growth and scale. And I'm curious, out of everyone that's here, there's 50-some people here, 60-some people maybe. How many people here can articulate the difference between growth and scale? I love it.
Scale, you can duplicate it.
Scale, you can duplicate it. Okay. This handsome gentleman with a great head of hair. Growth, expand your, both great answers, but growth requires you, Clay Stark, and scale doesn't, right? So my company, Cardiff, 21 years old. I know, I look like a fresh-faced baby. But I started when I was 24 with my best friend. He's all the way back there, Dean Lulk, and he combs his hair the other way now, so it's kind of very sexy look. But I started the company when I was 24 with Dean, and we were always in the business, and it was a struggle. Well, now today we fund billions and billions of dollars. Billions with a B. That's a lot of money. I didn't grow up rich. I'm not a trust fund baby. As it turns out, my kids are rich. My kids are trust fund babies. We'll see. We'll see what good they can do with it. I don't know. I don't want them to be like the Vanderbilts and just piss it all away. But we'll see what happens, right? I'll be dead, so I don't think I'll necessarily care. But it's up to them. So what do? We make great decisions on how we rear you guys. We help you to make decisions with logic, not emotions. It's another one you want to write down. Most people buy based off of emotion, and then they later justify with logic. Yeah. So when you're trying to sell something to someone, appeal to their Emotions. So many people get this messed up and they're like, well, let me tell you about my business. It's great. It's A, B, C, D, E, and F. Oh, and I forgot it's G too. And what happens to the people that are listening? Yeah, they've tuned you out because you're not doing what? Listen, good salespeople sell a product. Better salespeople sell an emotion. And the best salespeople, they sell an outcome. That's very important. Do I need to repeat that or everybody's got that? All right. All right. So good salespeople, they sell a product. You probably have a lot of them at your companies. He's a good sales guy. She's great. Then you got someone better who sells an emotion. You're going to love the way you look in this car. I promise you. Everyone's going to want. Anyone here have a Ferrari? No? Anyone here want a Ferrari? Yeah. Everyone's like, I'd just rather have a company that keeps printing money. But the funny part about getting a Ferrari is once you get one, if you're a male, very masculine thing to want a Ferrari. There's a joke in there. Because once you get one, guess who you attract? More males. More males. You go fuel the thing, and a guy walks up, he's like, it's a nice car you got there, man. I really like that one. Is that a Maranello? And you're like, nope. No, it's not. And he still wants to talk. Why? Because he wants to talk because he's attracted to your car. Great. Perfect. You've sold someone on the feeling that they're going to get by having a Ferrari, and the feeling was you're going to attract what? Females. What did it do? Did the reverse. So good salespeople sell a product. Better salespeople sell an emotion. When you buy a Ferrari, don't do it unless that's the attention you want to draw, which I'm completely fine with, right? You sell an emotion. You're going to love the feeling that you get. Okay, but the best salespeople sell what? They sell the outcome. You're going to buy this Ferrari, and guess what's going to happen? And the person's like, I'm going to get chicks, right? Or I'm going to get studs, for the girls in the audience. No, and the salespeople, no, that's not what's going to happen. You're going to pull up to the, I want you to close your eyes, and you say, you're going to pull up to the valet, and you're going to parked right behind a new Maserati, a new Bentley, a new Rolls Royce. And the valet person's going to come, they're going to take your keys, and they're going to leave it out front, and you're going to walk back to the restaurant. Before you get to the restaurant, somebody's going to tap you on the shoulder. And that person goes, hey, I saw that. Anybody know a Ferrari model? I don't know. I saw your red car. I saw your red car. He knows a Ferrari. F40. Oh, well, that's something from when I was a kid. Okay. I saw your F40, your red F40. Can I ask what you do for a living? Oh, I own a roofing company. I own a solar company. I'm an electrician, whatever the case may be. The person goes, I want to learn more. Well, maybe you just got an investor. Maybe that person wants to put $500,000 into your business, $1 million. And guess what? Somebody who has 500 to $1 million to invest in a single business, guess what? They know other people that do the same. I just learned something a couple of weeks ago from Dean, right back there, the great hairstyle. Who plays pickleball Tuesdays at 9 a.m. in the morning? Seniors. Wow. Rich people. Yeah. So you'll find guys like Dean playing padel, right? Or playing pickleball Tuesdays at 9 a.m. That's where you need to be. Not solving crime like Batman with your bat phone, telling them that the delivery is on its way and that you'll be there to make sure everything's fine. No. If you're stuck right there, making sure that the deliveries get done, you're in the wrong place. I would argue you're in the right place here today to ameliorate, to fix that situation. But we talk about like good salespeople and better salespeople and then great salespeople. You need to sell an outcome. What we need to do as salespeople, and you've got to be the best salespeople. It may feel uncomfortable, but in a business, you need three things: mission, vision, and values. Mission, vision, and values. And if you're not writing it down, it means that you already know the answer. But then if you know the answer, why are you already here? You probably know the strategic, but you're missing the tactical. So you're like, well, okay, great. ChatGPT, give me a mission. Give me a vision. What are my values? And they're like, they spit out, some nonsensical computer-generated, AI-ridden answer that will not resonate with your team, right? The only thing that will resonate with your team is if you lead. It's your leadership. And the funny thing about leadership running in a business is that your leadership skills become the bottleneck to the company's growth. Everybody understand that? Your leadership ability, your high watermark, the best that you can offer as a leader, that's the extent that the company will grow. Why? Anybody know? Think about it in football terms, right? You're that great player that gets acquired by a sports team. So you're taking the football from the center, step back a few steps, you're looking for an open receiver, right? And there's no one there. How many of us feel like that? We show up to work Monday morning, ready to take the pigskin, take a few steps back, we're looking for an open receiver and there's no one there. Well, it's because you're a bad leader. Because if you were a great leader, who would be out there in the field? Who would be downfield? Available receivers waiting for the ball. And this is an analogy, what's the football? We take it from the center, drop back a few steps, we're throwing them leads all day long. Are we not? We're throwing them leads. What do a lot of our sales guys and gals do with those leads? They drop the ball. They never call them, right? So that's what we're going to try to help you with today. We're going to show you that, yes, a company needs 3 things: mission, vision, and values. A lot of yawns. There's free coffee in the back. There's Red Bull. We could do push-ups like Andy Elliott. You guys can take off your shirts. I'm not going to. I'm not there yet. I'm going to get there. Maybe by Real Traffic Summit. But you need mission, vision, values. You need to understand that the most valuable commodity traded amongst individuals, be it professional or personal, is what? Is time. Is time. But in your professional life, it's a mix. It's probably 70-30. It's probably time, 70. But what's the other 30? Money, scratch, right? You got to pay people. You can't overpay them, and there is no leadership god, Andy Elliott, Tony Robbins, Will, Brad, nobody knows. Just so that you know how the universe works, right? I founded $1 billion company, right? We've lent, I don't know, I think this year we're closing in like $12 billion. That's a lot of money, $12 billion. And yes, it took a long time to get there. But what I will say is, where was I? I lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? Right. You listen to the important parts. What was that? Oh, it was 70-30. So 70 being time and 30 being money. And it doesn't matter if you're Andy Elliott, if you know who he is, or you're, Will Stern or Brad Lee or Tony Robbins. Nobody's going to give you or Grant Cardone, right? All these like internet personalities. They make money off of you, by the way. And then once they get rich, they're like, all right, I'll tell you how I did it. You just have to go out and find more people like you that are willing to pay like you did. Seems multi-level marketing-ish. But it's a mix of 70-30, and nobody really and truly understands how to compensate individuals. That's the truth. But you need a business plan. So if you don't have one, you need one, right? You need to be able to chart and anticipate your growth. You have to look at last year's numbers and kind of like an architect with tracing paper, layer it on, right? And sketch out what 2026's numbers look like based off of 2025. You build a plan, right? You build a plan. And there's plan, and then there's goal. And what's above goal? Does anyone know? There's stretch goals. Stretch goals are more short-term. They're sprints, right? They're not marathons. But as we get closer to the end of the month, we need to make initiatives and goals, stretch goals for our employees, whether it's monthly or quarterly, to get us to the number that we need to get to. Because being at plan is fine. That's like charting 3% growth year over year. That's fine. But the problem is that 3% growth year over year only does what? Well, it only keeps up with inflation. So it's just like, it's a lot of running in place. Enjoy living at the same house for the rest of your lives if you're at 3% growth. That sucks, right? We want to ascend, right? We want to be at a house 3-4 years maybe, right? And then keep going up, right? We want our lifestyle to keep increasing, but Dad, we always want to make sure that our lifestyle, right, isn't a, we want to make sure that our business doesn't become a lifestyle business. Meaning like we're not going into the piggy bank to line our pockets. We're trying to build a legacy business to hand down to these cuties right here. That's the goal of business. And Brad said it earlier. He was like, hey, you want to build a business that's ready for what? To sell. How many of you guys know what your company's worth today? Okay, we got to fix that, right? We got to fix that, right? If your company's worth $1 million, congratulations. By the time you pay taxes, you could buy a condo in Las Vegas. That sucks, right? But in order to get a valuation of $1 million, right, you have to have 10 million in revenue, right? Because there's all these costs. By the time you get to the bottom line, you look at the EBITDA, right? There ain't a whole lot left. Everybody know what EBITDA is? Everyone's like, no. Okay, we'll get to that. That's the tactical. But my point is, when you leave here today, and I'm almost done because I'm seeing people back there going, hurry it up. Sorry, Raph. I'm a yapper. I'm a professional yapper. But by the time you get home, I want you to realize, all right, mission, vision, values. I am the center of the universe, right? The gravity needs to pull towards me. I need to water all the plants, right, in my yard, right? All the employees, right? I need to give them time, love, and attention, right? Otherwise, I'm going to get betrayed, right? Somebody's going to walk out on me. And listen, everyone, I was in an Uber on the way here talking to Dean about our company, and somebody who's been there for over a decade just left. Is that somebody we value? What do we do when somebody like that leaves? There's the door. There's the door. That's power. And that's what I want to communicate to you, right? There was a department where a guy headed this department. He had been there 10 years, made a lot of money, right? Made a lot of money. But he saw the relationship as transactional, right? Or they just needed to move on. Sometimes it happens in relationships. But it could be that we didn't water the plant enough, or there wasn't enough sunlight, there wasn't enough, good enough soil. I don't know. That person left. I don't want to do a post-mortem on why they left. In the same way that they don't necessarily want to think about the reasons they left. They're already focused on the next goal, right? So you need to build this around your company. What's around a castle? A moat. You got to build a moat, because the moat does two things. It protects people from invading your company, but it also sort of prevents people from leaving too. So it does two things really, really well. So listen, we've talked about a lot of stuff. I'm going to end it with an exercise. And obviously we're going to talk more over the weekend. And for those of you that bought VIP tickets, I'm stoked to be able to have dinner with you. I'm not going to be doing the yapping at dinner. I want you guys to do the yapping. I want you guys to talk to me about your business, because maybe there's a nugget, a small excerpt, right? Some sort of reply that Brad, myself, Raph, Dean, Shar, somebody's going to give you, and it's going to ignite something. It's going to flip a switch. There's going to be an inflection point in your growth, and you're going to go back and execute on that idea. Now in comedy, they call this a callback, but I'm not here to entertain you in that way. But earlier, Jonathan said I own 150 domains, and this gentleman said maybe I have 15, 5 of them are active. Well, ideas are worth nothing, but execution is worth its weight in gold. And it's difficult to execute, but it's worth everything, right? So the next time you get an idea, treat it like an email, park the idea overnight, and come back to it in the morning. And if you still feel that strongly, send the email, right? Or execute on that idea. Like if that idea, if you have vivid, lucid dreams about it overnight, that's God, the world. That's the energy that you're pulling towards you that's telling you, right? Momentum. P equals MV. P being momentum. M is what? Mass? What's V, Stanford? Velocity. Thank you, Jonathan. P equals MV. Write that down. P equals MV because it applies to business. Momentum, mass times velocity. What's mass at a company? Employees. What's velocity? Leads. Multiply those two things together, you get momentum. Momentum is where you want to be because momentum breeds good employees, systems and processes that allow you to do what? To separate yourself from the business, to put and install another figurehead there so that they're the center of the universe. And then you can live on vacation. What did I say? Live on vacation. I didn't say go on vacation. Who likes vacations? They're great, right? Who here takes more than 3 a year? We got to fix that. What's the worst part about vacation? Yeah, Dean always says that. I don't want to go on vacation because I always have to come back, and that's the worst feeling. I want you guys to live on vacation. So how do you do that? You need to do a few things well. You need momentum. And what is momentum? What's the equation? P equals MV. My physics teacher would be stoked, Mr. Dietz. He would be stoked that I still remember these concepts. But the truth is that in order to create the momentum, you need two things. Great employees, right, that you nurture, right, the whole photosynthesis part. And then you need the velocity, which is leads, right? Right? You want to be able to take the pigskin, take a few steps back, and just throw dimes all day long and have them catch it. Well, catching it involves SOPs, a training system, a CRM, automation, like somebody fills out a lead form on your website and then they're getting nurtured. Email after email after email, text message after text, phone call from your employees, right? There's got to be systems that can be automated so that you can eventually do what? Step out of the way, remove yourself, right? The company that I own and founded does billions of dollars every year. But I'm here and I'm not worried, and I'm not worried about anything going wrong. And I haven't been since 2018. But all I did was do two things really, really well. And I already told you what they are. Great employees. What was the other one? Leads. P equals MV. That's all you need. Great employees and great leads gets you the momentum you need. And the guys in the back, and even that girl Stanford, was like, hey, you need to build systems and processes because in order to have, she'll always be known as Stanford, which is wild. Because once you get the great employees and leads, right, that's scale, not growth. Growth is you working twice as hard and making twice the income. I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound fun, right? I don't know if I want to trade time for money. But all day long, I will trade money for time. I will buy back wasted time from my youth in order to do what? Spend more time with my family. Spend more time with my friends. Be more present. Why is it that when we go out to dinner, we're always looking at our cell phones? We're trying to escape. Because the reality that has been constructed around us doesn't appeal to us. So we're on our phones death scrolling because that seems more appealing. But you can never get enough. So shouldn't that tell you that it's a false reality? It's like, arranging a dinner date with someone and then they don't show up. And you're like, oh, that sucks. I'll just schedule another one. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. What are you expecting by death scrolling? Are you going to learn something? You only go on social media for two things. One, to be entertained, and two, to learn something. If you're not learning, then you're just being entertained. If you're being entertained, then it's taking your focus off of what's really important in life. Family, friends, business. I protect my life with a moat. I don't death scroll. I didn't really get into it. Maybe I'm too old. I don't know. But I protected my life with a moat. I don't want to be distracted. I don't want to hear about things that are going on in the office that I need to ameliorate or nurture or fix. No, I'm over here. You guys figure that out. And if it means I make $1 million less in income a year, I'll go with it. Because like Dean says, I don't want to go on vacation. I want to be on vacation, right? Not like a permanent vacation. Mobsters. I want to be enjoying my vacation above the soil, right? I want to be here with you guys. I want to do the Real Traffic Summit, where I'm going to bring in Klaviyo and Attentive and Twilio and Meta and Google and YouTube and all these companies to demystify the platforms so you can understand, all right, well, he taught us how to organize, how to automate, and what was the last one? How to scale. Those are the 3 tenets of this weekend. Organize, automate, scale. Because once you do that, you get to hang out with me over here and always be on vacation. You have a question? You're just waving? What a nice guy. Okay. All right. I'm going to end this with a quick exercise. I want everybody to close their eyes. I want you to trust me. I'm going to just make sure everybody's got their eyes closed. I'm going to walk up and down this aisle. All right. Everybody's got their eyes closed. Even Raf. The Rafs. All right. Eyes are closed. Now, you pull your car into your parking lot. This is your business. 8:15 in the morning. Sun shining. There's a cool, brisk air. You've got a hot cup of coffee in your hand. You shut the door. You see your name emblazoned on the building in front of you. That's your building. You earned it. It's 5 stories tall. You grab the doorknob, you pull it open. It's a burst of cold AC. Take a few steps in, and there's a buzz. People are working, typing. There's this delicious, sort of bitter, chocolatey smell of coffee in the air. There's monitors everywhere, and the monitors are showing the KPIs for your office, for your business. How many leads we got today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year? Who are the top salespeople? What have they produced? Right? We've got the leaderboard. Think golf. You hit the elevator button, go to the 5th floor. That's your floor. You get off the elevator. As soon as you get off the elevator, your assistant hands you a tablet, right? The tablet is your dashboard. You know exactly where the company is going. You know exactly where you need to be. That's the destination. You've made it. You've made it. This is why you grinded so hard. The sleepless nights, the anxiety, sitting in the shower, raining upon your head, trying to make these tough decisions, trying not to get sued, trying to make good decisions by people, retain the A players, let go of the C players. You've done it. You've made it. You don't have to check the bank account. You know the money's there. Everybody wants your attention. Everybody wants your time. Your wife or your husband are proud of you. Your kids look at you like you're their hero, not a sports figure, not somebody at school, not a teacher, but you're the hero. You did it. You know, if only your dad was here, right? Maybe he could see and communicate how proud he was of where you've gotten. All right, open your eyes. Is that the future you want? Well, here's what I can tell you. That's not fiction. I'm sorry, I'm getting all misty-eyed here. That's not fiction. That is your future. And the first step towards getting to that destination is being here at the Real Business Growth Summit. I'm William Stern. Thank you guys all. We'll see you this weekend. Thank you.
All right, how's everybody doing? We're going to get into the meat of everything, but before we do so, we're going to give you